All verse rising, my soul family. All verse rising. So, you know the difference between these expensive countries and cheap countries? You know, these highly expensive countries out in Europe and the Western countries, they're the most expensive countries on the planet. That's why you see a lot of citizens that's living out in the Western countries like USA, United Kingdom, and Canada. And then the European countries, a lot of individuals are very poor in income. But you see individuals out in these super cheap countries, especially like Thailand and Philippines. People that's living in Thailand and Philippines, no matter what their ethnicity, nationality group is, people that's living out in the cheap countries like Thailand and Philippines, they are financially rich. I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of my family relatives that's living out in United Kingdom and living out in USA, that's like poor in income, they will become the most financially richest people in Thailand and Philippines. These are all facts. An individual that's having poor income in a European country, because European countries are so highly expensive, I guarantee you those people that's living in the European countries, they are literally going to become the most financially richest people if they move to a super cheap country. Because, like, you know, when melanated people run a country, it always be super cheap. You realize that, right? Like, literally, like, bro, Sierra Leone is way cheaper than New Zealand. Nigeria is way cheaper than Italy. Ghana is way cheaper than Iceland. Why? Because a lot of white supremacists, they always make the countries that they have control over, that they own, as highly expensive. But a melanated person, they have their countries be super cheap. So if Philippines and Thailand is so cheap, you know a melanated person is running the countries. You know a melanated person is running those country regions. So that proves a lot of melanated people were Asians before, because not all melanated people are Africans and Caribbeans. You know, like, come on now. Like, bro, you only pay $500 for 3 bedrooms in the Philippines, in Thailand. You're paying $100,000 or more for 3 bedrooms out in United Kingdom, depending on where you are in USA, depending on where you are in Canada. Like, come on, you can't. What choice are you going to choose? Like, come on now. I really need you to think about that. Like, most people that's living out in Louisiana, look, like, let me tell you something. Louisiana is more expensive than Thailand and Philippines combined. Like, for real. Like, that's crazy. Oh, a state in a country. How can a state in USA be more expensive than 2 countries combined? Like, that just make you think. And the reason why a lot of these highly expensive countries exist is because these highly expensive countries that's having a lot of poor income citizens is because the evil white supremacist demon slave owner matrix. Bro, I'm gonna repeat this. The reason why there's a lot of poor income people out in these Western countries and European countries is because these demon realm alien slave owners of white supremacy and beyond white supremacy, they're planning FEMA camps in these highly expensive countries, especially in New Zealand. Especially, bro, this stuff is not a game. I will tell you this, there would not be no FEMA camps in Philippines and Thailand, all these cheap countries, because, you know, the slave owners, they're not going to, like, put FEMA camps in cheap places, right? Like, these highly expensive countries is due to a lot of citizens, you know, putting a lot of money of tax back into the white supremacy governments. That's the reason why, you know, there will be FEMA camp prisons in these highly expensive countries later on. And I'm going to talk about that stuff in another video. But it just makes you wonder, soul family, how in the world, bro? Like, this is common sense. Like, you can go tell a whole bunch of individuals out in a European country or a Western country, be like, hey, you can get like 3 bedrooms for $500 to $300 out in Philippines. And those people that's living in United Kingdom, USA, or living in New Zealand, living in Italy, living in Finland, you could tell those people out in the European Western countries that it's cheaper to live in the Philippines and you'll have way more money left over. They still gonna be, stuck in those Western countries and European countries because a lot of individuals are so used to having less. You know, a lot of individuals that have common sense, like myself, I'll be used to having more. Like I need it all. I had a lot of stuff taken away from me by the Social Security slave owners who don't want to have humanoid citizens be financially rich in these European and Western countries. So why would I pass up, moving to a super cheap country where I could be financially rich in Philippines and Thailand and all these other, cheap melanated countries? Why not? Like, why not, man? But you can't tell people out in New Zealand that, like, they're gonna be like, man, the Philippines is cheaper than New Zealand, but I'm still be in New Zealand. You could tell people out in Russia, Ukraine. You could tell people in Germany. You could tell people in Bulgaria, Belgium. What's another European country, man? Switzerland. You could tell any individual in these expensive countries where a lot of people are poor in income to go move to a cheap country where they could become financially rich people. They still gonna be so indoctrinated to refuse to move to a super cheap country and still be in these highly expensive countries. I'm like, what are you doing? That's all I gotta say, soul family.